We keep things rolling here on the Sports Cubicle. I'm your host, Mike Mercado. Joining me is the one and only Devin Tingle, and it is one of my favorite times of the year when we get to go around the Midwest, go around Illinois, Wisconsin, Michigan, Iowa, Ohio, and talk about the lifeblood of baseball. And that is local baseball, minor league baseball, different leagues of baseball, semi-pro, pro, all of the goodness, the stuff that Americana is really represented. And once again, Devin, you have knocked it out of the park. What do we have for the awesome listeners here in Chicago today?
Well, as you know, Mercado, we always like to have our local baseball spotlight, the minor league corner, new subject we're talking. There's a little tease for everyone. And today, I'm joined from a man who's over the border for us, Mr. Bryan Giese. He's the director of marketing of the Lake Country DockHounds. Bryan, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us, Bryan. So I must say, it's just one of these things looking at, the Lake Country Dockhounds and the Wisconsin Brewing Company Park and just all the things you offer there. You have your own brewery in the park. It's a beautiful park. It looks like a major league ballpark right there. I must say, in Lake Country, what are the Dockhounds kind of to that city there? Because in the city of Chicago, we have so many baseball teams, but in Lake Country, you have just the Dockhounds there. And it seems like this is a huge community team, and there's a lot of just attractions, activities and things that really bring people to this ballpark as opposed to going, a couple miles over to see the Milwaukee Brewers.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think the number one thing for us is that we are a part of the community. We're not just housed within our community. We are the only professional baseball team in Waukesha County. So we have a fairly large pool of people to pull from. And we're located right halfway in between Milwaukee and Madison. And so there's a fair amount to do out here, but I would say that we're kind of the big attraction piece now that's been kind of added to the community. So, but we're kind of a city within a city. So we offer, everything from baseball to all sorts of different entertainment. Whether that's we're doing a barbecue festival this coming summer, we're doing a music festival in September. A la kind of a Lollapalooza style. We've done it last year too, where it's two stages and it's just constant music and food and fun and just really kind of trying to tie into the community as a whole.
So, how has that been with the entire community, especially in that area where we know that there's a diehard sports fandom there? So many
Yeah.
great organizations up in Wisconsin. And we know how much people in Wisconsin, Illinois like to have a good time during the summer, during the spring. Man, it's terrible during the winters. We need to let out some of those frustrations. But how was it? How has it been for Wisconsin to embrace the Dockhounds? How has it been for the organization, the management, the front office, the players to be brought into this community and for over the last few years really have excelled in growing the brand and the record on the field? How has that been within the community? How they accepted you guys?
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, the community support, we're nothing without the community, right? I mean, first and foremost, it's without them, we just have an empty stadium. And so they've really embraced it. I think the highlight so far is, we played 3 seasons so far in the American Association. Last year, around Halloween time, the city of Oconomowoc does this big kids Halloween trick-or-treating thing with businesses. And so you go through the downtown area and all the businesses have tables outside and they just hand out Halloween candy. And we got invited by the city themselves and said, hey, if you guys want to stand outside, City Hall and hand out candy and, bring some players. And we're like, yeah, sure, let's do it. And I think the highlight was that, there was like 4 kids that came dressed up, not just as Dockhound players, but also as our mascot. Like it was really cool. Like, it's like, here's the one kid and here's his brother. And, the one kid's dressed up as a player and the other one's dressed up as a dog and he's got Louis' name on it. And, so I think it was really cool to be able to see in such a short period of time that the community really grasp onto us that way.
So when does the process start for, like, let's say 2025 is here, right? And we know it's going to be a great year. There's going to be a lot of fun. But
Yeah.
just for the sake of this conversation, 2026, for example, when do you start thinking of these ideas, these moments, these kind of cool invitations for the community to come out and watch good baseball and also have an entertaining night? Or
Sure.
I was watching over on the YouTube channel right there, basically a State of the Union, if you will, where you're kind of giving an update of everything that's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what is that like? What is that schedule like? How far in advance are you thinking about all the fun stuff you're gonna do moving forward over the next year, 6 months? How does that process work?
Yeah, I think I mean 2026. You mentioned that. I would say I had it came up in at least two conversations yesterday already of like, man, this would be really cool. Yeah, too bad we're already booked for this year. Let's see what we can start penciling in already for next year. You start to brainstorm those ideas and they just start to generate, and they just have legs, right? And so I have a whole notebook at my desk that's just nothing but like, here's different ideas of things that we can pull off. One thing that we do, we started it last year. So the big trend, right, is the kind of different name identities, a change of who you are for a weekend or for a homestand or that kind of thing, right? So we did a name identity change last year. The of all things, it's kind of a crazy story, so stick with me here. Wizard of Oz, right? It was celebrated its 85th anniversary of being released last year. One of the very first places that the movie was actually ever viewed was right here in Oconomowoc. I don't
Wow.
understand why. There are some theories to it. The producer of the musical score was from Oconomowoc, lived out in Hollywood. These kinds of things. So to celebrate the 85th anniversary, we're like, all right, our normal branding, the DockHounds, is a big furry dog, and we're very family friendly, and everything is about fun and family entertainment. So we're like, let's latch onto this idea of a dual identity. What can we do? How can we tie it into the city, right? And so we came up with flying monkeys because we figured what's more scary than, from the Wizard of Oz and a bunch of flying monkeys. And so it was a complete identity change for us, right? But it still ties into the city. We were able to tap into their, anniversary celebrations. We were able to expand their celebrations. And they really took to it, the city itself, and everything else. So we're going to bring that back this year. We did a bobblehead. We converted our mascot Louie into the Tin Man last year. So we're going to bring him back this year as Scarecrow. And then talking about 2026, I think you can kind of see where the yellow brick road takes you on that. And so we end up with a Cowardly Lion, I'm sure, in the works for 2026. But yeah, it's a long and winding road for us to be able to go from kind of year to year. And then we still try to leave some opportunities for things that are just kind of spur of the moment. The city celebrates its 150th anniversary this year. They're doing a big celebration right around the 4th of July. We just happen to have home games here for the first time on July 4th. We've never had a July 4th home game yet in our history. And so to be able to tie that into the city is really cool for us too.
And sometimes things just work out right. I mean, Wicked is out there for Oscars now, and you got Ariana Grande out there, and it's just the beautiful song by the Wicked Witch. Like it's just a beautiful time. Devin, what you got, buddy?
So, Brian, as we're talking about your ideas for 2026, I want to hear about the ideas that you started thinking about in 2024 that are going on right now. What are the big attractions and events coming up this season that are going to draw people to the ballpark other than just a fun family time and some good baseball?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think our biggest thing is we're offering a Legends package. So it's going to be a 5-game package. And tied to that is, so our owners, you talked earlier about just kind of our pedigree of baseball and our ownership and front office, right? So a little bit on that. Two of our owners, Tom and Lisa Kelnick, their son Jared plays for the Atlanta Braves right now. So they've traveled all over the place to different ballparks and everything else. And that's how we kind of created the stadium that we have and some of the opportunities that we have. And then our other principal owner is Sonny Bando. His father, Sal, was the GM for the Brewers for a long time, won a couple World Series with the now defunct Oakland A's. And so we have some baseball pedigree in there. And so this Legends 5-pack, we're able to tap in to Sonny's kind of roots. We're going to have 1982 World Series Brewers members, Jim Gantner, Raleigh Fingers, Ted Simmons, and Robin Yount, all here for different games throughout the course of the season. And so that was one of the things that started last year. We had Leroy Butler from the Packers here last year. Went really, really well. We brought Robin Yount in for a one-day thing. Again, went super well. And we're like, all right, how can we expand on this? What can we do? And because Milwaukee doesn't have a World Series champion, we still always cling to this 82 Brewers team. And so, we knew it would do well, but we're like, okay, how do we do this, and how can we make this, special? So we're offering it in a 5-game package, Legends 5-pack, which also the 5th day then also includes a fireworks night that we have separate as well. So.
Devin, there's a lot of talk right now, and I think people are going to get upset because we've heard Packers now, we've heard Brewers. That's a lot of enmity talk here in Chicago. But Bryan, speaking of Chicago, you talk about we're like in between Madison and Milwaukee, and
Sure.
there's a lot of Chicagoans that go up to Wisconsin because of family, just traditions of camping and all the fun stuff that you can do up there. What has been the strategy, or is there a strategy to integrate your neighbors to the south of that is Chicagoland, to bring them and show them the hospitality of Wisconsin, of what the Lake Country DockHounds are all about? Is that a big focal point as the years have been moving on, as you've established as a brand, to start handing out an invitation to other big cities around the Midwest?
Yeah, no, I think it's, with us just having finished 3 years so far, obviously that first year was a whirlwind. We got city approval to build the stadium in March of 2020, quite literally 2 weeks before the world ran out of toilet paper. And so we got delayed by a whole year, so it was what should have been our opening day of 21 turned out to be the opening day in 22. So it kind of pushes that, everything back just a little bit. But, the first couple of years we've spent really just kind of trying to hone in who are our fans, who's coming to our games. And so year one obviously is just a tornado of everything. Year two, we started to figure it out. Last year, we're like, okay, we know exactly who our fan base is, and and that kind of thing. Growing into the Chicagoland area, I think what really helps for us is that, we have 2 teams in our division that play right in the Chicagoland area between Kane County and the Chicago Dogs. And I think that's an opportunity for us to be able to grow our partnerships is with those organizations as well. Having played Kane County in our first ever trip to the playoffs was really cool that way. And I think, from a front office standpoint, from an on-field standpoint, I think we get along very well. There isn't necessarily this hard animosity. And I think maybe that's because of the fact that we also have a team in our division that's in Milwaukee as well, that we tend to push more of that kind of stuff directly at them instead. But I think it offers a really good opportunity for us to be able to grow and bring, because we know it, right? In the state of Wisconsin, if you think that people from Chicago aren't coming up to spend a lot of money up here and have a good time, then you're just naive, right? So everything from Lake Geneva to Door County to Minocqua, everywhere throughout the state, right, is Chicago people that are coming up and having a great time, and we welcome every single one of them to our ballpark, So I think it's a good growth opportunity for us.
Devin, we're almost out of time. What else do you got, my friend?
I have two questions I want to ask. So one I really want to ask you about, Bryan, is you have your mascot in Louis, but I'm more interested in Colt the Bat Dog, the dog that you make your personal bath boy. Please elaborate on this, because I can't get my dog to stop eating bunny poop, and yet you guys are over here getting dogs to bring bats to their players.
Yeah, absolutely. No, Colt's been with us since year one. His brother actually did it with him last year. So we had 2, Colt and Kohu, last year. But yeah, Colt he's in a great partnership with us again, because we are so local, everything that we do from a sponsorship standpoint and a partnership standpoint, we like to keep it local. So Colt comes to us from Casey Canine Dog Training Academy. And so the owners there, they do an amazing job of dog training for police dogs and, and private as well. But so Colt just had a birthday, so he's
happy birthday, Colt.
Yeah, so he's been doing his thing now, and the fans love it. He comes out and grabs our bats, when our guys get hits and everything else, and it's great because the crowd just kind of comes to life right away in the first inning right away. So yeah, it's fantastic.
Don't trust a person who doesn't like a dog. Devin, what was the other question, buddy?
And one, I want to ask Bryan, if you can spill the tea. I saw at Wisconsin Brewing Company Park, there's going to be a celebrity softball ball game. Can you spill the tea on maybe some of the celebrities? And if you need some, you have a really good radio celebrity that used to play baseball and Mike Mercado over there. Just saying.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. This is the second year that we're doing the Badger versus Marquette alum. So Travis Diener, Travis Beckham, some fairly decent named Marquette and Badger alum. It was great last year. Marquette won it in a walk-off home run. By Steve Novak. So that was it was pretty good. But yeah, it should be a fun night with having them out again this year as well.
So I'm glad as we wrap this up, I think this is it's all fun, right? Like when you're able to come up with great ideas, the community is picking you up and momentum in the Midwest. They love their sports. They love their local sports from Pee Wee all the way to high school up until college and pros, whether you're in Wisconsin, Michigan, Illinois, the rest of the Midwest. There's one thing that's very important, and that is on the field. So on the field, the organization is doing some great stuff. What about on the field when it comes to managers, when it comes to players? What can the consumer expect when they go out and they see these ball players, this staff together? What kind of baseball are they going to watch? Because at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is those 3 outs and what's on that scoreboard, right?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think going back to having Tom Kelnick, he takes on a major role of our kind of how our roster is put together. Our manager Ken Huckabee is a World Series champion with the Arizona Diamondbacks. So we have some pedigree that way. But I think so far we've been in the American Association for 3 years. We just had one of our pitchers from last year, Mitch Miller. He just got signed by the Minnesota Twins 2 days ago. And so now that makes, I think we're up to 10 in 3 seasons now of players that have played for us that have gone on to play at affiliated levels within the majors, or we have 2 guys, John Duplantier and Mark Kloop, that are playing over in Japan right now. Mark is playing, looks like he's going to make the bigger league roster for the Tokyo Giants. So it's been a high quality level of baseball that we put on. Once we started to kind of figure things out, obviously your inaugural season of any team is not the best. You try to get through it as best you can. But we turned things around in year 2 and then made the playoffs and had a winning record last year. So you're going to see high quality baseball for sure. And you're going to see guys that have either been at the big league level, have been playing in affiliated ball, looking to get back there. We got some young guys that are fresh out of college that are looking to get into the affiliated systems. So you're going to see high quality baseball all the way around.
They got all the bases covered, and that pun was intended, and I apologize for how lame it was. You got education days, May 21st and 22nd at 10:35 a.m. I love that. I'm all about the kids, the education. You in order to play baseball, you got to have good grades, in my opinion. So that's one great thing. Players and coaches sign autographs on the field 20 minutes after all Sunday home games. So you guys are doing the work, and you guys are making sure you're ingraining yourself in the community. I think that's what a lot of people in today's day and age where sports and entertainment's so outpriced now, and people are kind of pushed away for bigger profits. It's nice to see that the community could still have a fun thing to go to. Devin, want to bring us home, buddy?
Of course. We were joined by Bryan Giese, Director of Marketing from the Lake Country DockHounds. Bryan, thank you so much for joining us. And if anyone wants to get any more information about the Lake Country DockHounds, how can they contact you or someone from the ballpark? How do they get tickets, social media, all that fun, good stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. All of our stuff there is on our website, dockhounds.com, for sure. You can get to anything that's going on baseball related or non-baseball related that way. And then myself as well, Bryan at lakecountry-live.com if you need to send me an email or anything like that.
Bryan Giese, he is our man. He is our brother. He is your brother, and he's doing some good stuff. Him and the entire organization over at the Lake Country DockHounds. Bryan, thank you so much for joining myself and Devin Tingle here on the Sports Cubicle on WCPT 820 AM. We appreciate you, my friend.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.